Now, Nigeria sometimes does want to claim that it is a sporting nation, but the truth about it is that we have simply not made the investments into the back end, the value chain of sports, to qualify us to call ourselves a really sporting nation. My name is Nlechi Obi. I'm the CEO of Sport Nigeria Limited by Guarantee, a private sector intervention agency set up essentially to assist in implementing the National Sports Industry Policy 2022-2026, but more importantly, to drive private sector involvement through investment into value chain of sports, the ecosystem. We came about as a recognition of the fact that without the private sector, it's going to be very difficult to get the ecosystem of sports to be developed the way it is in countries that we call sporting nations. Now, Nigeria sometimes does want to claim that it is a sporting nation, but the truth about it is that we have simply not made the investments into the back end, the value chain of sports, to qualify us to call ourselves a really sporting nation. Prior to 2020, we hadn't even categorized sports as a business. It wasn't even categorized as anything in the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics. We were not categorized. If anything, we were seen as a cost center. And so a lot of our focus had been on going to participate at international events, trying to win medals, trying to win a lot. And so we spent a lot of money. But we didn't understand that those who won laurels themselves had invested in the back end, the 80% that you and I don't see. So that the 20% that we see, they keep getting it right every year. Jamaica can tell you today who would line up at the 2032 Olympics. They will tell you. They can tell you because they have 10-year-olds who are coming through the pipeline. We can't tell you because we don't even know who's coming through the pipeline because really there is no pipeline. We have a gamble strategy. We see one girl somewhere. So we haven't invested in a pipeline for athletes development, which will require facilities at community level that enable the greatest number of people to play sport so that we have standardized facilities that if somebody is playing sports in Okrika, the person playing and another is playing in Bauchi, the standards are the same because they're using similar facilities. Therefore, you can target that, okay, the person in Bauchi is also running sub 12 because the facility is using is similar to the one they're using in Owerri, similar to the one they're using in Lagos, similar to the one they're using in Osogbo, because there's a deployment of community facilities across communities. So, a standardized, scalable facilities, that's number one. We can tell you that the person that's coming through has received some early training because there are over 250 stadiums in Nigeria with facilities. Nigeria has a stadium to population ratio of 1 to 5 million. South Africa is 1 to 700,000 people. UK, US is 1 to 320,000 or thereabouts. We are told, the UN says, ideal is 1 to 300,000. We are 1 to 5 million. So to even catch up to 1 to 1 million, we need 200 new stadiums in the next 10 years. So how are we going to standardize? So we now depend on either finding somebody abroad who was trained by people abroad, or finding one person that we finally manage to find scholarship and go. In essence, what I'm saying is that there is no pathway, structured pathway from raw talent to finished product. If we want to focus on talent, if we want to focus on mass participation, there are no facilities for people like me and you who will never show up on the 100 meters line of the Olympics, but who want to experience sport. No, it's too late for me. I know my age. There's no way I'm going to run 100 meters finals at any Olympics. But I want to exercise. I want to do things in my community without paying huge sums to fitness centers. There are over 70 million of us who want to do that. Where are the facilities? Remember what happened during COVID? Because everywhere was shut down, people were on the main roads. They were on the expressway. Why? There was nowhere for them to go. I know 3 friends who have been knocked down by cars because they're jogging on the road. They had somewhere to go. Oh yes. I don't want to mention him, but we all know one, a very famous journalist. So if we had places to go after work that are in our communities, that are standardized, places that are standardized across the country, there'll be more of me and you. So we will live a healthier life. We will have a decrease in non-communicable diseases. 1 in 4 persons dies from a non-communicable disease in this country. Can we bring it down to 1 in 8? We'll have somewhere for our children to exercise and to play sport and start from there. We have 100 million children in school. We do not have 1,000 community facilities. So those are the issues. That's what we found. And that's what led to the strategy that first and foremost, what do we need? So working with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, and working with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports then under Sunday Dari, there was an agreement to work together to restructure sports from purely participatory to business, so that the private sector can put its money into this, because they now stand to make money off a mass market proposition. So if we can get 60 million of people like me and you paying 500 naira to 1,000 naira in a community facility, they will pay those facilities. And that's where we stand. One of the things, the policy was developed as a business and industry policy that we need to industrialize. I'm very glad to see that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu government has embraced that position. And the new National Sports Commission is talking about the sports economy and the industrialization. It means that people have recognized that without us industrializing, we cannot get the benefits of participation. So that's where we are, and that's what I do. And that's what gave rise to where do we meet to discuss these things. So the Sports Africa Investment Summit is a recognition. It's a recognition that sports hasn't gotten the attention it deserves. The simple thing is that entertainment, music, film, art, those ones have a gathering place. They gather regularly. They've secured the attention of development finance institutions, development agencies, as platforms for youth engagement, youth empowerment. They are all part of what is called the creative industries. Sports is the largest of the creative industries in the sense that we are 70% of the creative industries. Yet when they are doing their meetings, somebody that 70% gets only 1 seat at the table. We don't get to be part of when they decide to aggregate investment. How much of it do they give us? When they set up the creative, what was called CIFI, the Creative Industries Finance Initiative, did you hear that they gave us a dime out of it? When CBN set it up a few years back? No, CBN didn't give us any. We were not in the equation. They don't even want us in the room, because we entered the room, we suck up at 70%, we suck up all the air. So we have no meeting point. We have nothing. They're not engaging with development finance institutions like Afreximbank, AFC, African Finance Corporation, AFDB. We're not engaging. We're not even there. We don't even speak. then who are we talking to? And yet, billions of dollars are going around the whole world seeking for spots where to park themselves in sports properties, and we're not there. So for us, suddenly we looked at it when Sport Nigeria, part of our remit is to redefine how we engage in sports, all the stakeholders, so that we can redefine this business. So when we engaged across, talk to people across Africa, talk to people within Nigeria, the common thread was that there is no meeting point. How do you engage in sport? Who are you even talking to? Where are the investors? Where are the value chain developers? Where is the public sector? Where is the social enterprise? Where are the development? Who should they talk to? There was no meeting point. So we looked at it. The world wants to give African money as Africa. They're not picking that, okay, we are giving Nigeria, we are giving Egypt. No. They say, oh, everything, Africa, everything, Africa. And when last US government, it was something for Africa. So if the world wants to give you money as Africa, gather yourself together and collect it as Africa. Nigeria is 20% of the population of Africa, thereabouts. So when you have spearheaded the gathering of the money, then you can come and sit down with your brethren in Africa and say, okay, we have collected the money. Can we now share it in proportion? See, me, I'm 20%. So I get 20%. The remaining 54 or 55 of you, this, your share, let's prorate it. But first, let's even gather the money. And on a serious note, truly, a lot of money does come into Africa. But we have, that through diaspora funds. It's interesting. If you go to Google, they'll tell you 100 billion comes into Africa from the diaspora funds. 20% of that money enters Nigeria. But a lot of it comes for wedding, funeral, bill, school fees, medical bill. There isn't really any investment vehicle that you can channel that money. So why can't we begin, first and foremost, a platform that sees all of us gather once a year to say, this is our problem. This is how we intend to solve it. This is what we will do over the next 12 months as phase one. The following year, we come back, we assess. Did we get it right? Okay, we have got this right. This one needs more work. This is now what we do. Secondly, that platform allows people to know who to talk to. Because if you're a key stakeholder, you make sure you are there. Thirdly, we can now devise strategies to collect money from. Part of this money going around the world looking for sports in properties. Fourthly, we have 800 million possible fans and followers of sports between the ages of 19 and 30. That's a very young population. 800 million of anything is a large number. Not to come and talk of human beings who can consume sports and are already consuming sports on their phones. How do we get those people to pay 500 naira? Okay, let me say the equivalent of 100 naira a day to live their passion. That's the revenue. Get that revenue, government gets out of it, you get your facilities, you get this, you get youth employed, you get engagement, you get everything. You solve social problems, you also make money, you set up factories and industries to service these 800 million people. You drive investment. So the Sports Africa Investment Summit is the platform where we all gather from across Africa to identify how we can use sports to deliver the Africa we want 2063, to add between 2 and 5% to Africa's GDP through sport, to deploy the infrastructure need of Africa of 50,000 community facilities across the continent, so that we could gainfully employ roughly about anything between 30 and 50 million people in the sports industry. So we are very happy that in the room we actually have Afrexim Bank as a partner. We have Bank of Industry as a partner. We have the Nigerian Economic Summit Group as a partner. We have the APO Media that cuts across Africa and the world as a partner. We have UNESCO, and we have as our co-host the National Sports Commission. They recognize that this is an opportunity to do the things that they want to do. So the National Sports Commission is a co-host, and our keynote address will be delivered by Malam Shehu Diko, the chairman of the National Sports Commission. So, there are, of course, UNGC, United Nations Global Compact, which is the organization that the UN set up to encompass the private sector and help for the private sector to help them to achieve their SDGs 1 to 17. So the UNGC is about 20,000 corporate organizations from around the world that also partnering with us. We are still expecting that a few financial institutions will be in the room. People like AFC, AFDB, they are also going to be present. But we also have speakers coming from all over the world, and particularly from Africa, they will be present at this place. Some of the topics we'll be looking at is how do we encourage mass participation and use mass participation in sports to build a market to consume sports goods and services. One of the other issues we're looking at is the gender question. Right? The women have knocked at the door, and that they have finally entered the room and sat at the table. So we have the gender issue, a seat at the table. What do they want? How do we get more women playing sport? And more importantly, the growth area for sport now is seen as the women's sport. When you are down, there's nowhere else to go but up. So the women are starting from ground zero, and they are climbing. The room for growth is so high that we want to now find out from them what would it take for us to get more women, not only playing sport, more women as administrators, more women as owners of sports properties, more women as managers, more women as coaches. A situation where I look at my women's league, like NWFL, I still see a lot of men coaching the women's clubs. Something needs to be done. So those are the issues. We're also going to discuss all these things you want to do, because the first part talks about mass participation. The first plenary, what are the issues to get more people playing sport? The second part talks about the ecosystem. How can the federations and the confederations work together? What are the things you need? What incentives you need? What this, what that? The third part is, okay, when you've gotten the first and second part, where's the money? How do you get the money? You need $5 billion every year. From where? What are the alternative sources of funding? How can technology help you fund? And all. That's where you see all the big money people, big guns, the development finance institution coming to sit down and say, these are the things you can do. Then the closing plenary will be delivered by one of Nigeria's topmost investment experts, and who has a fondness for sport and has decided that we see this area, we must all look at it. So it promises to be interesting, and we are encouraging those who see themselves as being in sport to show up. There's a part about media. How is the entertainment, the nexus between entertainment, media, and sports? How can we make it work for sport? That is, you will be surprised at the people who are coming to come and talk about that. The public sector is not left out. We are going to have few ministers, particularly in areas like industry, investment, creatives, entertainment, regional development. How can sports be a platform for regional development? So they are all coming. Education. Education is the largest contributor to sports participation. Look at 100 million children. If you get 100 million children playing sport, you've gotten everything. Then health. What if I told you, if I went to my doctor as I'm complaining, I'm not feeling well, doctor say, when last did you take a walk or anything? And I say, oh, maybe like 3 or 4. Oh, you need to start exercising. I will listen to my doctor, and as soon as I leave there, I will enter one sport shop, buy shorts, buy shirt, buy sneakers, because clearly I will believe my doctor has seen something. But if you came to tell me, I'll tell you, let's leave this today, let's go shopping or something. But if we could get the medical sector to make exercise and healthy living the first prescription they write, before they even begin to write that you should go and buy paracetamol or Paradol or anything, first write that the person was sick. We will get more people playing sport. And more people playing sport is that you will buy shirts, you buy shorts, you buy boots, you buy this. Somebody will supply these things. And so that's how the business rolls. The business is not every Saturday you stay, and that is one area. You press your remote control. The business is in me and you, and people like me and you. The vast majority buying shirts, short boots, for everything. And we want to encourage that, because that's what helps the other part. We want to build the brands that will support the development of athletes and support the development of events and support the development of broadcasts. Without those brands, we have been wasting our time. We're encouraging people to go to our website, register as a delegate, pay your delegate fees, and come and listen to when you compare what you pay as a delegate fee, what you are going to get. It's when you live there, it's almost as if you've done a master's program with some of the best lecturers from all over the world, gathering for 2 days. No one will come to the summit and leave that place unchanged. Because under one roof, you find some of the biggest experts. You find people you would ordinarily not have access to. If there are up to 4 or 5 ministers sitting there telling you this is how we can do this. If there are people coming from different parts of the world saying this is how sports is. If you had to go and meet those people where they were, buy tickets, you get visa, do all of this. So this is almost like a master's program under one. Then you will see projects that are coming for investors. You will even be surprised to network with 1 or 2 investors. Maybe you even have a project and there is somebody sitting next to you that has maybe a couple of $100,000 that is, you just never know who is sitting next to you. So it's a great network opportunity to meet people you would ordinarily not meet in your day-to-day life. For what we